So it's all well and good having the latest and the best Mac that's out there, but unless it's put to work and earning you some money, what's the point of having it? In this video, I'm going to show you how I'm using my MacBook Pro to make these videos. Hello guys, welcome back. Yeah, so it's all well and good having the latest and the quickest Mac, but unless it's earning you some money, unless it's doing its thing, it's a pointless purchase, right? So what I thought I'd do, rather than just talking about the Mac and the studio display, is actually walk you through how I make these videos, my workflow. And that way it would show you the powerhouse of the Mac, the kind of work that I put it through 2 or 3 times a week, and just what it's capable of. And I will also compare back some of the things to the Intel iMac that I've been working on for the last 6 years as well. So for those of you who are interested, this is how I go about making my videos for YouTube. Many creators start out with a script. Well, I don't strictly do that, but what I do is write a blog. So most of the videos that I put up here started their life as a blog. I then repurpose that content, and the beauty of that is it means I've got content for my website, and also it means that it's fresh in my mind what I've just written about. So I don't need to re-script it. I can just refer to the blog and I make the video that way. It's called repurposing content, not a new thing. And it's a good way of getting a workflow going. So I write first of all, and what's fresh in my mind, I make the video. Now, in my instance, when I started on this YouTube channel last year, I've never had a camera. I still don't have a camera. Everything you're watching is shot on an iPhone 12, a regular iPhone 12. But I don't use a camera app. I use FilMic Pro. And that has been an absolute game changer for me. The amount of settings you've got in there, it lifts the camera almost to a decent small camera that you would use for video and vlogging by itself. You can set ISO, you can set shutter speeds, you can set the white balance. I also shoot in 10-bit Vlog3, which means I get a lovely flat file off of the phone, and that gives me a lot of control in post to begin to work on the color grading and color alterations towards the end of the process. So everything's shot on an iPhone 12. Now that means, of course, I need to get those files off the phone. That is a problem which we all know about. I know there's talk about USB-C coming to an iPhone next year. By then, hopefully this channel's monetizing and I can afford to buy a camera. But in the meantime, there is a bottleneck getting these files off the phone. For an 8 to 12 minute video that you watch, generally I'm shooting for about 30 to 40 minutes. And the file size is about 15, 16 gig on the phone. It's a raw file. So getting off is a problem. I started off trying to use AirDrop. That was a no-no. And what I now do, I use the lightning cable, connect it to the studio display now actually, and then I use image capture, which is a native app on the Mac, and I then download the file from the phone straight into a folder on my RAID, ready to start editing on. So that's the video part of it. Next, we come to the audio. So of course, because I'm recording on the iPhone, there is no microphone attached to it. The microphone is just out of frame there. It's a Rode NTG4 Plus shotgun mic. And all I do, I take that mic, run it through a mixer, which in turn goes through a Scarlett 2i2. That's the interface that then takes it into my Mac. And in my Mac, I work on the audio in Audition. It's always the audio that I start with first. So this is recording straight into the Mac at the moment. Again, I will save this into the same project folder that the video file is in. And then what I do in Audition, I've created myself a template, a shortcut, an effects rack that has all the same effects in the same order. So it's got some noise reduction, it's got some de-essing, it's got some compression and EQ. Once I've applied that to it, I always save the native audio file in case of any mistakes, but then I'll also save an EQ'd file, and that's the one that I'll use in the video. So once in the project folder, I've got the video file and the audio file with EQ on, I'm now ready to start the edit in Premiere Pro. And that's where we're really looking at the powerhouse of this new Mac. Once in Premiere Pro, it's a case of dragging all the assets into the project folder and getting to work. The first thing I'll do is bring over the video file and the EQ'd audio. There's some AI in Adobe Audition that just synchronizes the audio and video. It's magic. So that's all I do. I just select the files, let Adobe Audition do its trick, and then I delete the audio that came over with the video, link my EQ'd audio and video together, and I'm good to get going. I'll leave 3 blank adjustment layers above the video that I'll use for color grading towards the end of the project. Then it's a case of dragging in all the other assets that I want to use, maybe the lower third for Twitter, a few transitions and all the B-roll pictures that you see, working on push and slide effects, whatever I want on the B-roll that I've got in there. And that's really how I go about editing. On the audio, the only reason I touch audio in Premiere Pro is adding a multi-band compressor right at the very end, just to add a little bit more depth and gravitas to the voice. And I'll run a loudness meter as well, because I always edit for these videos at -23 LUFS to give myself plenty of headroom. Before getting to the export, I add the color in, because don't forget, I'm working on flat raw video files at the moment. The first adjustment layer is a FilMic Pro log that I put on there. Then I use something that's within Adobe Premiere Pro, and it's another log that I put on that second layer. It just has a very subtle touch of color. And the third adjustment layer is just for a little bit of saturation. That's pretty much all I do. I don't do anything magic. I'm no specialist in this. I just do things that look good to my eye. And once I'm happy with them on the studio display, I'll drag them over to the 16-inch MacBook Pro, check that I'm happy with the color on there. Once I am, we're good to export. So with the export, there's something else that I've kind of taught myself now. There's a quick export function in the latest edition of Premiere Pro in the top right corner, and there is a Ultra HD 4K preset there, but for some reason there's a problem there, and they give you an estimated file size, which generally for these videos is around about 8 to 10 gigs. And using that quick export function, I was only getting files down about 2 to 3 gigs. I was losing a lot of data. So I've created my own preset, which is really easy to do in Premiere Pro. I've made a couple of adjustments. I've gone from variable bitrate to constant bitrate. I've taken off maximum render depth, just tiny little tweaks like that. And then I've also set the loudness standard, because YouTube liked the videos to be at -14 LUFS. So I set a loudness standard on the export, and then I'm good to go. Now, this is where the MacBook Pro has really, really earned its keep this week. On the old Intel iMac, these exports would take around about 40, maybe 45 minutes. Even with this high quality export that I'm working on here, render and export, they're taking not quite as quick as I thought they may have been, but they're taking about 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes, something like that, which is a hell of a saving, down from 40 minutes to about 10 minutes. That is quite some saving. And that's pretty much all I do in order to make these videos. But where my workflow has been sped up is not having to wait those 40 minutes for the export to come out of Premiere Pro. And also, there's no heat, there's no fan, there's no noise, nothing. And you can also use the machine to do other things while it's exporting. Oftentimes, I'll be working on a thumbnail while the video is now rendering out and exporting, which I could never have done before, because all of the resources from that Intel were drained towards exporting these videos. Now I find I've got some headroom on the Mac as well. Buying these two bits of kit and having them working for me over the last couple of weeks has been a revelation. By far the best workflow I've ever had in this studio, and it makes video editing an absolute joy as well. It is so quick, it's seamless, and honestly, I couldn't be happier every time I come in here to sit and edit a video. And even if I have to re-export, because generally I export and see one thing that I'm not happy with, so I'll just go back into the timeline, make a small little tweak. But now I'm not waiting for another 40 minutes. I know another 10 minutes, a cup of coffee, I'm done, I'm good to go. And that's it. That's how I work on these videos. The audio in Adobe Audition with the effects rack that I use each and every time, so hopefully it sounds the same. Everything in here stays constant. All the sound treatment stays constant. The lights are constant. The settings on the lights are constant. So hopefully now I'm building up a look to these videos, which hopefully is pleasing at your end as well. But I'd love to know how you go about your video editing. Are you using Premiere Pro? Are you using Adobe Audition? Or are you on Logic? And I wanted to use Logic. I really have on Final Cut Pro. Being an Apple boy, I'd love to be using those products. Maybe it'd be even quicker, but I just know so much about Adobe. To relearn all those skills now would be horrendous. It would slow me down so much. So I'm sticking with Adobe as much as I would like to give Logic and Final Cut a go. Unless somebody's going to sit here and teach me how to do it quickly, I'm going to stick with Adobe. But I'd love to know what doors you're using, what way you edit your videos, how you add color. Let me know. And also, if you've got any ideas about what a good camera would be when I'm ready to buy one to add to the studio, I'd love to know that, because I'm no photographer and I need help when it comes to cameras. But that, guys, is just about it. And hopefully you've enjoyed watching this video. And at the end, I'm going to leave a link to where I talk about the studio display and the MacBook Pro together and what a great workflow is up next. See you soon. Bye.